Hey there YouTube world, my name is Matt Schwartz and I'm the Welding Geek, and welcome to part 1 of the Bo Katan full metal helmet build. So, if you want to see me make this, stay tuned to the video. Alright, we're going to start off with my templates. These templates will be available over at my Patreon page if you want to build a helmet yourself and make an attempt. But I got my template already glued down onto my material, 063 3003 aluminum. I'm going to take it over to the shear and shear out my straights and get this thing kind of blanked out. Before I make my way over to the rotary index punch, I'm going to go ahead and mark out all my center hash marks on the templates. It marks the center of the holes. I'm going to go ahead and punch out all my relative holes here while I'm at the rotary index punch. These holes are going to relieve the hard parts where it's hard to get the bandsaw, and also the hard parts where it's hard to get the cutoff wheel. When I get ready to cut out the T-visor and cutting out these cheeks, it just makes it a lot easier to make a cut with the bandsaw and the cutoff wheel. I'm going to go ahead and get my faceplate now cut out with the bandsaw and just hit all my lines, and then we'll make our way over to the workbench and go ahead and deburr this and smooth everything out with the angle head grinder. If you notice, you can see how much easier it is to cut these cheeks out with those big holes in there. Just makes life a little easier navigating the bandsaw blade around on the inside of a part here. Go ahead and use my cutoff wheel here to scribe the T-visor section of the helmet. And now I'm going to smooth out all my cut lines and deburr the part so I don't cut myself while I'm fabricating on it. Alright, let's get a curve in this helmet. I'm using the slip roll here to do that, and I'm just going to roll it through a couple different times and just gradually making the radius tighter and tighter each time I roll it through the slip roll. Alright, now I'm going to put a little offset in the back here. This is the vent section of the helmet, the rear vent, and I'm just going to do the little offset for that. The next thing I'm going to do here is shrink this top radius section of the helmet, and this is just going to get the radius of it starting to pull towards the back because it's really straight up right now, and I want it to start curving the helmet backwards towards the dome, and that's what this shrinking is going to do for me. Just a little bit, you can see how it starts to pull towards. It's just starting that forming process of the front of the helmet. Alright, so I already have this dome started, almost done. It's from an old scrapped helmet, and I decided to use it for this one. What I'm going to do here is hammer out the section in the center. I'm trying to shape it into the form that I need. So I'm going to go ahead, you can see all the hammer marks here, And then I'm going to take it over to the planishing hammer and smooth everything out. If you want to see how I make an entire dome, just head on over to one of my other videos about the Mandalorian helmet build. There you can see me build an entire dome from scratch. Now that I have it more in the shape that I'm wanting, I'm going to go ahead and trim off and make this bottom edge nice and square so it will fit up against my helmet a lot straighter. And I'm just going to do that with a pair of hand snips here. Alright, now I'm going to get this thing tack welded onto my bottom. Just fuse tacking it in places and then also using some rod in places where I can't get it to tack up. Alright, it's time to get our cheeks done. You can see that these cheeks are in poster board, but they are available as a PDF on the Bo Katan helmet templates on my Patreon page. But I'm going to go ahead and get these traced out, get them blanked out with the shear, and then take them on over to the bandsaw and get them cut out via the bandsaw. Now it's time to fight and get these things tacked in. I'm going to go ahead and try to fuse, tack, and then also regular tack them in. As you'll see here, it's a little bit of a battle to get them in, but eventually I get them in there and they fit really nice. Alright, we got it in there. The first one's always the hardest. Now that I know how to get it in there, the next one, not so hard. Alright, just like that, I got them both in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and gas weld this dome to the bottom of the helmet seam here. I use a gas weld because it's more pliable and it's easier to dress off. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done here. Alright, so the gas welding process I'm using uses hydrogen and oxygen gas, and then 1100 series rod, and I'm just melting the aluminum and welding it together. You also need to use a flux when I'm doing this. Alright, the gas weld is done. You can notice that I only welded half of it because I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the back of this helmet out because I can't reach the front to planish it. So you'll see me do that here in a little bit. What I'm doing here now is I'm going to go ahead and get the cheeks all welded up, and then we'll move on from there. Alright, one cheek down, one to go. Got it all stitched together. So I got my cutoff wheel, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the little peak of the nose. You'll see what I mean here in a second. And then I'm also going to lay out and cut out the back half of the helmet off. And this is so I can reach it with the planishing hammer to get it nice and smoothed out. Now I'm going to go ahead and dress off the front of this weld so there's not so much material there when I go ahead and planish and smooth out the face of this helmet. Alright, it's planishing time. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to dome out the front of this helmet, smoothing it out so you can't see the weld, giving it that complex curve that it has in the front. And you can see here, if the back was on, I would not be able to do that. So I had to go ahead and cut the back out, which actually works out better in the end because I got a nicer, cleaner back without the seam. You can see here, I kind of foobarred it up a little bit here. Not a big deal. I'll get back in there and get it all smoothed out. Alright, now that it's in the shape that I want it to be in, it's time to dress all the welds off and get this thing all smoothed out. Now, I didn't cut a whole lot of this segment out. I kind of left all the dressing segment in because I just wanted to show how much work goes into metal finishing something like this. This thing is sped up times 20, and I'm going to go ahead and just go through and dress all these welds off. I just wanted to share how long this actually takes and how much work it is. Are we done yet? Nope, that's part one. Getting things dressed off a little sharper. That was the first part of metal finishing there. I was not quite happy with how my what's called the eyebrows or the eye section was. It was a little too big, and I also want to backfill a little bit to give it the depth that it needs. So I'm doing that here now, just building up some weld around the T-visor section, and I'm also going to fill in a little bit to give it the little narrower eye parts. See here what I decided to fill in and what I was going for, and now I have to dress it all off. Alright, now we're all smoothed back out again. Alright, you can see here I already got the rear section already fabbed up. I already showed the whole process of making this thing, so I did it off camera. What I'm going to do here is get it laid out to where I can cleanly attach this back plate nice and straight to the front plate. So I'm going to kind of get everything measured out and laid out, and then I'm going to roll 2 steps in the sides, and this is just going to make the fit up to the front plate a lot cleaner. Now it's time to get this rear section all attached and tack welded into place. Now that I have it tack welded into place, I'm going to use this little hand dolly and try to smooth everything out with a hammer and a dolly, just leveling out the edges so it will weld nice and smooth. And now it's time to weld this thing all together. If you're curious about the welding method I'm using here, I have a whole video on it. It's called TIG welding, and you can kind of learn about the process there. Alright guys, guess what we get to do again? Here we go again, metal finishing some more. This whole process involves just starting out with a coarser sandpaper and just moving down to finer and finer grains each time you go down, making it smoother and smoother as you go. Alright, that is it for part 1 of the Bo Katan helmet build series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And alright, that is part 1 of the Bo Katan all metal helmet build from the Mandalorian show. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. That'll be part 2 will be old details, and part 3 will be the paint job. So I guys hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll stay tuned for the next videos coming up in the series. I hope you go and check out all the other videos that I've made, all metal and cool stuff like that if you're new to the channel. Yeah, I have the templates, like I said in the video, up on Patreon. So if you want to jump over on my Patreon, you'll not only get some cool templates, but you'll also be supporting my channel, which means a whole ton. It'll mean that I can make a whole bunch of awesome other videos. Bigger, better, cooler stuff, more expensive stuff. But this is still pretty cool, so I'm excited about how this helmet came out. So I'm hoping you guys will enjoy this series. Yeah, next up will be the rifle build, hopefully after this. And that's actually, I'm going to give that away to one of my Patreon subscribers that are in that $10 tier. So if you want to be part of that, run on over there and join that. Yeah, anyway, fun build. Look forward to part 2, which will be next week. I'll probably launch that one. I'm going to try to do them a week at a time. Give myself some time to get that rifle build. And yeah, anyway, my name is Matt Schwartz, and I am the Welding Geek. Thanks for watching, guys.